Hi, welcome back. I'm McCarty,
My name's Kelly.
and this is like the third part of our series.
6 Wives.
Yeah, the 6 Wives of Henry VIII. Today we are on Jane Seymour. She is his third wife.
I'm excited. I don't know much about her. I don't know really much about her at all, so I'm excited for this.
There's not much to know about her, because while she was like pretty well born, she wasn't really she wasn't exciting like Anne. She wasn't like the queen for a long time, like Catherine, and some of the she's not as exciting as she's fairly boring boring. I mean, as much as a woman could be. Anyway, so let's get started. Jane Seymour, she was born in 1508. Some say 1509. Most of them say 1508.
When was Henry? Do we know when Henry was born again?
No, let me Google it. I want to say they were supposed to get married in 1509, so he would have been 14, so like
1480s, 1490s?
Yeah. When was Henry VIII born? 91. 1491. Okay.
Almost before Columbus.
1492. Yeah.
The year before. Interesting.
Very
Anyway.
nice. Look at that. Okay, so anyway, she's born in 1508. She was queen in a very short reign of time, about 18 months, from May of 1536 to October of 1537.
Long enough to have a kid.
Long enough to have a baby and a miscarriage, and that's it. She's the daughter of Sir John Seymour and Margaret Wentworth. They are higher up in hierarchy. He's obviously a sir. And through her maternal grandfather, so her mother's grandfather, she was a descendant of Edward III's son.
Edward the Confessor.
The third.
I think Edward the Confessor is Edward III.
Maybe.
I think that's his moniker. I don't know for sure.
Maybe. So that's kind of where she falls.
So she's not as highborn as Catherine because she was a princess, and she's not as well connected as Anne because Anne
was high up in the court.
Yeah, because his dad was her dad was whoever.
Maybe you can find a tree or something.
So I've started to learn how to edit. We're not going to do a ton of editing because I don't know what I'm doing, but I was playing around with it the other day, and I can add pictures. So we'll put a picture up of I'll see what I can find. We'll put a picture up. I also would like in the comments if you want to see the first few videos that we've done, up until now, if you want me to edit those and add pictures and stuff, I will, if you guys have interest in it. Otherwise, I'm not going to re-upload them. I might add pictures and stuff just to practice, so let us know if you want to do that. If you know me in real life, you can talk to me in real life instead of putting it in the comments. But
and I think there's 2 left I need to put up because my computer started acting funny, but I've put all of the current episodes on Spotify. So it's just Those History Twins. You can find us on Spotify. I think the first 8 are up.
Is there where else do you find podcasts?
I have a thing for Podbean, but I'm kind of get rid of that. Maybe I'll try to put them on Apple or Amazon or something. I don't know yet. For now, I feel like YouTube and Spotify are fine.
Yeah.
Second, Edward the Confessor, not Edward III. He's Edward the First. Because he is the first Hartha Canute.
Oh, sure.
So he's very early in 1066 is when he is no longer king. So he gets taken over by Herod. 1066, if you know, that's when the Normandy or the Normans take over England, and that's when you get all of these new kings that are French by birth.
Yeah.
That's why they also control part of France, these kings. I don't know, not now, but prior. Anyway.
Shannon has been watching or listening to a 7-part podcast about 1066. We were talking about it the other day. I didn't want to say her name out loud in case she didn't want me to do that. But
anyway, so her being Edward III's... she's not... Edward III was her... She's related to his son. So he's related to her too, but further down in the line. So this made her and Henry fifth cousins. It also made her a distant cousin to Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard. They all shared a great-grandmother. I tried to figure out how cousins go, but I was very confused, and I couldn't really...
Cousins are confusing. There's this girl on TikTok, and her name is Dr. Susie Edge. I will see if I can tag her. She does really, really, really good videos about how... She's a medical doctor and a doctor of history, and she does really good videos of how everyone's related and the lines that things go. I'll see if I can add her or, like... tag her in the video, and you guys can go watch her because she is brilliant.
Awesome. Love that. Okay, so she's cousins with everyone, as everyone's related to everyone around here, so it's fine. So unlike Catherine and Anne, she's not overly educated. She's not overly courtly. Is
she like a country mouse?
Kind of. They like describe her as like simple, meek. They mentioned very pale.
Not super ambitious.
Yeah, not super. She's not one to like do a lot of things like reading or, you know, being out in the court and flirty like them. And she's an
introvert.
Yeah, she's not as pious as Queen Catherine, who was like, that was her whole thing. So she spent a lot of time with the church. And Anne's whole thing was courtly life and fashion and whatever else she was doing. And then Jane, I'm so sorry. Jane is more into like embroidery and managing the household and things like that. She's also, with Jane's coming the queen, she gets rid of all of the extravagance that was during Anne's reign.
Do you know where she was born? Like, is she from the country?
She's from the countryside. It said where she was, but I didn't find that super important. Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Somewhere in England. Yeah, but in the country. So she is, like, much more dour. She is more conservative than everyone else. She bans, like, French styles. So they're more, like, revealing and, like, she's just not about fashion. We're gonna be doing function. And she's quiet, and she's meek, and she's simple, and all of these things. So, she was a maid of honor, which not the maid of honor to the queen. It's not like when she got married or anything. She's just like one of the higher maids to the queen, Catherine.
Is that like a lady in waiting?
Yeah, but like
not quite as high up.
I don't know. She is in the court of Queen.
Sure.
Catherine in 1932, and it's suspected that she might have even done it as far back as
1532
as 1527.
Okay.
So, and she also served Queen Anne.
How old was she? She's what, like 30? 29?
29-ish, yeah.
When she becomes queen?
I know, she dies at 26, I think. 28. Oh. Math is hard. So, she's roughly the same age as Anne, I think.
Anne was born in 1501.
Oh, so she's just a little bit young. So, around the same time. I think 1507, isn't that the one that's more...
1501 is the more accepted.
Okay. So she's a little younger. But anyway, she serves both those queens. It's rumored that...
She serves Anne, too?
Yeah. It's rumored that Catherine... Because even though she's not part of the court, like, she doesn't actively seek out court life, she is still a high-ranking member of society. Like, her dad and mom are high-ranking. So, Henry, it's rumored that he started to be interested in Jane and kind of seek Jane out prior to Anne's execution. So, like, 3 months prior. So she was executed in, what, May? Yeah. So,
I don't know, but I'll
February.
See if I can insert it.
I have it in here somewhere. Okay. So, they were engaged the day after Anne's execution.
Yeah.
And then they were married 10 days later. So, that was in May.
They were, like, married, like, 2 weeks after.
Yeah, 10 days. So that's nonsense. She was also super close to Mary, Henry's son, the daughter of Anne. Catherine's. No. It's Anne's. Oh, fuck. It is. It's Catherine's daughter. There's too many of these people. Catherine's daughter. She's very close with her. She tries to get her reinstated into the...
Because she was banished by Anne.
She was banished by Anne. Not by Anne. She was banished after Anne was beheaded. Well, or, no, like, during that.
Yeah, she was banished when Anne was, like... She was banished when Anne was queen, and then they brought her back after Catherine died.
Yeah, so it doesn't talk about Elizabeth. Nobody says anything about Elizabeth. I don't know where Elizabeth is. I didn't dig that far into it. But she's really close to Mary. So it's rumored that Jane became pregnant December of 1536, which would have been, 7 months after, or 8 months after they were married. It seems that she had miscarried this baby, but then was pregnant again in January. So not too long.
A very short
turnaround.
So do they think that she was actually pregnant, or?
I'm not sure, because it didn't really talk about how far along she might have been or anything like that.
Maybe it was just like a really super early miscarriage.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Because that seems like a really fast.
Yeah.
To be pregnant and have a miscarriage in December and then be pregnant again in January.
I mean, I feel like if you can get pregnant after having a baby at 4 weeks.
True. But she couldn't have been very far along.
No, I don't know, because especially since they didn't say anything about being a stillborn or being able anything like that. So
right.
Again, it's just rumor. I'm not really sure. So she falls pregnant again, and she does a really quiet pregnancy. She doesn't go do a ton of things. She's more sequestered. She's not in confinement yet, but she is doing a slow, careful birth.
Confinement means, so when you were in confinement,
so
that meant,
in example, she goes into confinement in September.
So basically, because being pregnant is unseemly because it comes from sex, and it's unseemly to be pregnant. Once you were far enough along and showing, you would be sequestered into the country, or you wouldn't make public appearances anymore because it was unseemly to be pregnant.
Because then
everyone knew what you were doing. And I think part of it too could have been just to be more comfortable for the mother to go to your country house
But it's mostly the other thing.
But it's
You're gross. You got pregnant? Ew. That means you had sex.
Yeah, you had sex, so you... But yeah, so basically...
And you weren't allowed to talk about pregnancy in mixed company.
Yeah, if it was men and women, you couldn't acknowledge the pregnancy. If you were amongst women, you could, but if it was men and women, it was very much that's not how it happened. You're just fat now.
Yeah.
And then you have a baby.
And I was like, oh, where'd the baby come from?
Yeah, so it was very taboo to talk about pregnancy. It was taboo to be seen heavily pregnant. Anne was pregnant, visibly pregnant when she was crowned queen, but I think that was the exception because Henry wanted a baby so bad, or wanted a boy so bad.
Yeah. And it does talk about in here, or I didn't mention it before, but she was, her crowning was delayed because of the plague. Coronation, yes. It was delayed because of the plague, so I don't know if she actually had a big ceremony, because there was another bout of plague during this time. And she wasn't really
not the big plague in the 1300s, this smaller iteration.
This is still the Black Plague, but it's a much smaller, more contained version of that Black Plague. And they've had rebate. There's another one in the 1600s. It pockets up.
It's not the Great Death, though.
Yeah, it pops up. So she, honestly, there might not have even been, it didn't really say much about her having a coronation, but I think it might not have happened at all. I'm not sure. I'm sure it did. But anyway, so she goes into confinement in September. So she gets sequestered. She gives birth to their son, Edward. He will become Edward the Fourth. Nope, the Sixth. In the future. So he is born in 1537. He's the only legitimate son to survive infancy. So he, because you have Henry Fitzroy, but he's legitimized, but he's not a legitimate.
He's not the first choice. They're not going to pick
because
him.
He's had an heir. Now basically, essentially, no one cares about Henry Fitzroy anymore.
No.
You're boop, you're done.
You're Henry Fitzroy who?
Yeah, who is that? He never had a son outside of marriage. So Jane's labor was apparently incredibly tough. It was very difficult. It lasted 2 days and 3 nights. So it's thought that the position of the baby made it really hard. It didn't speak specifically about which position the baby may or may not have been in. But it did talk a lot about that. And then she is very ill afterwards. She never kind of recovers. There's some speculation that it could have been a retained placenta, or
some kind of infection,
or just kind of lots of things like that.
Childbirth at this time was very
Yeah.
Dicey.
Yes. So she dies just 2 weeks after her son was born.
But huzzah,
he has a son.
there's an heir.
Yes, there's an heir.
Son.
He has a son. He's very excited about that. It is rumored that she is his favorite wife because she gave him a son. Even in the Six, one of the lines is...
In Six the musical.
The Six the musical is like...
only one he truly loved.
Rude.
Yeah.
So she gives him a son. He's very happy about that. He's very upset when she dies. He goes into mourning for 3 months, which is not long considering
Mourning was usually like 6 months. So,
and especially she's the queen, so you'd think he would
mourning was very structured back then. So you would be in full black gear and you would not be able to socialize for like 6 months. And then you would go into
at least.
Yeah, at least. And then you would go if it was a close family member. And then you would go into like half mourning where you could only wear dark grays and you still weren't socializing a lot for another like 6 months. And then like around a year you would be able to socialize and be out of mourning.
But then some would even take it further and wear like lighter grays or like lavender or an armband
to show that they were still mourning.
Yeah.
Like Queen Victoria.
Oh my god, she mourned Albert forever.
After Prince Albert died, or King Albert, I'm not sure what. King Albert. After he died, I think she remained in mourning her entire life. She wore black for the rest of her life.
Which is also really interesting considering and we can maybe do an episode on her.
Short.
Love her. She's teeny tiny. But she is the reason we wear white to weddings. Because, yes, white was always a sign of, like, virginity and pure or whatever. But she's the one that made it popular because she wore a white dress on her wedding. And everyone was like, oh my god. Queen Victoria was, like...
a trendsetter.
The stuff. Like, she was it. She also is called the grandmother of Europe. Anyway, we should do an episode on her. She's fantastic. Love her. So, Anne dies.
Jane.
The next wife is Anne, and the prior wife is Anne, so it's very confusing. And she's the only one who isn't named Anne or Catherine. So, Jane dies. He mourns for 3 months. During that 3-month mourning period, he gets super obese. And this is when he gets his gout.
In 3 months, he gets obese?
I mean, I'm sure there's other time. Like, he gets gout, he gets diabetes. He's just the Henry we know him to be at this time. So, he also, this is another... Like, he waits 2 years before marrying Anne of Cleves.
Oh.
And some of that, I think, is because he loved his wife. She was his favorite. I don't know if love is the right word, but she was obviously his favorite.
He held her in affection.
In the highest regard. He waits for Anne of Cleves for 2 years.
Did he know her prior?
Anne of Cleves?
Yeah. Like, did he have her set up, like...
I don't really know.
He just waited.
I didn't really look into that. I know they did have some issues with the marriage contract and getting all that ironed out. Also, she's not from England, and so that sometimes can cause... she's of Cleves. Just kidding.
I think she's
like,
German.
I think it's Denmark.
In the play, she goes, ja.
No, she goes, ich bin, which is I am in Dutch.
I thought that was in German.
No, ich bin Anna of Cleves. No, she's Dutch, I think. Or like Brussels, Florence.
Burgundian?
Burgundian, yes. No, because I was learning Dutch for like 2 weeks on, what's the one with the wow?
Duolingo.
Yeah. It's very, like, very similar to English, but I'm bad at languages. I could probably read it. Anyway, so he's buried next to her. So when he dies, on his, request, he's married next to her, or buried next to her, which if that doesn't show you how much because in my mind, he would have, had I been him and knowing how everything goes, because Anne Boleyn is beheaded. So clearly he's not going to be next to her. Then you have Jane. First you have Catherine, who he's married to for 24 years. Then you have Anne, who's executed. Then you have Jane, who he's only married to for about 18 months. And then you have Catherine.
Anne of Cleves,
who he isn't married to for very long. We'll get into that. And
she's
he
beheaded.
He sees her more of a sister.
Anne.
So, Anne of Cleves, and then you have Catherine Howard, who is beheaded, and then you have Catherine Parr, who he dies. So, in my mind, my thought would have been, because he spent so long with Catherine, to me, it makes more sense to have been...
And he knew Catherine for so long.
For so long, since
Catherine
he was a child.
Aragon.
Yeah, first Catherine. So in my head, it would have made more sense if he truly felt the same way about all of them. It would have made sense to have him be buried with her. But since she's his favorite for giving him a living son, that's speculated as to why he was buried next to her and not one of the other wives.
Are they buried in Winchester? Westminster? What is Westminster?
Westminster. I don't know.
I had my brain shut off for a second. It had to be rebooted.
So that's all I have about her, but I'm just going to because I was curious, I'm going to quickly, give you a rundown of Edward the Sixth, just because it's very short.
And this is a fitting time
to talk about him, because it will affect things.
We should have talked about Mary and Elizabeth when we talked about their moms.
I feel like because they're going to have a bigger story than Edward.
That's true.
They could have, like, Elizabeth was regent for, like...
I mean, even if we even want to do those, who knows?
I do. Okay, so Edward, again, was born in 1937 at Hampton Court in Middlesex, which
just outside of
London. It's the huge place that was originally.
I think Henry built it for himself.
Nope.
No.
It was originally one of the Thomases. I think Thomas Cromwell, and then Henry basically took it. So he's the only son to outlive him. He is the male heir. Obviously, she dies. So at this time, Mary is 21 years old. She's so much older, and his godmother. And Elizabeth is 4. Also to note that Mary was the chief mourner at Jane's funeral. Like they were very close. Obviously, Mary is his godmother.
I didn't realize that Mary was so much older than Elizabeth.
Like, it makes sense, but still.
Yeah, it makes sense because I always forget that he was married to Catherine for 24 years.
For a long time, yeah.
Because the other ones, he just kind of like
boom, dead. So there's some stuff with a treaty, and Edward is betrothed to Mary, Queen of Scots, who is
a baby.
She's 7 months old. And then Mary, Queen of Scots comes into the picture a little bit later, but they have that little thing, a marriage proposal. Obviously, it doesn't really go through. At 9, he hold on. Sorry. Speak so I can look at this.
He doesn't live very long. He's kind of, I think if I'm remembering correctly, he's like a sickly child.
Yeah.
But I feel like, didn't you say that Jane was pale and maybe she had a poor constitution? Yeah. So he was kind of sickly a lot. He wasn't very strong like his dad was, because his dad was like this big, strong man, and then he became obese and
then he's also crowned very young. And he also doesn't live for a very long time.
When does his dad... How old is he when his dad dies?
He's
older than I thought he was.
Yeah, well, that's when he dies. He's coronated in 1547, which is roughly when I think Henry died. Obviously, he has to die soon, like in 1547. And then he dies in July of 53. So, he is 15 when he dies, so he's quite young.
When was he born? 47?
47, yeah. So he's 10 when he becomes
king.
And then he's king for about 5 years, which he wouldn't have been king on his own. He would have
ruled with a regent.
Which, let's see, who's his regent?
It says right there. Go up a little bit more. John Dudley and Edward Seymour.
Okay, I feel like John Dudley
sounds familiar,
and I feel like he kind of ruins everything. But yeah, so he's king for a very short period of time. He doesn't have any children, because
he never marries.
Mary never marries, because she's still an infant.
Yeah, she's 7 months old.
Yeah, and then so he's crowned. He's pretty sickly, like she said. The Reformation is going around at this time. Let's see. So he has a whole council. It says Henry will name 16 executors to act as Edward's counsel until he reaches majority at 18. So there's 16 of them to take care of it. But his 2 main ones are going to be Dudley and Thomas.
No.
No.
Seymour. I'm guessing it's his grandpa.
His grandpa or his uncle. And then there's a lot of, like,
People are
fighting. People
are trying to get him.
What is it? That thing, like a puppet king?
Yeah, so all of the people around him are trying to, like, maneuver themselves to be in power under the guise of helping the prince, or the king. But he's not king for very long, so not much happens.
5 years. Well, there is a war.
I mean, a lot of stuff happens during his reign, but he's not
really part of it.
He's not really doing much. He's 15.
Yes.
10 to 15.
15. So he doesn't have any heirs, so it's disputed on who his heirs are. And
how did he die? Just sickness?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Death and secession. So, Jane, I believe it's Jane Grey, Lady Jane Grey, who we will discuss maybe a little bit.
Well, no, that's not till Elizabeth comes in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We'll discuss her.
She was only queen for 9 days.
Don't ruin it.
Oh,
so it's debated her or Mary the First, which is his sister. Because she's the next living child of Henry. So it would make sense that she would be next in line. And then this whole thing causes a big, like, strife. And because Seymour is one of the advisors or whatever, and I think that's his daughter. Or maybe not. It's not probably his daughter. They're related in somehow. So Edward is very ill. He's a sickly kind of kid. He dies in 1853.
1553.
1553. And then they have, there's a bunch of strife. Lady Jane.
Mary comes in. Elizabeth comes in. It's a whole thing.
And of course, prior to this, Henry is married to the other 3 wives. So all of that goes on. And then, like I said, he's 10 when he becomes king. And he's very short, only 5 years. Kind of a lot of strife. So infighting between the houses.
Henry is married to Catherine of Aragon for 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has 6 other wives, or 5 other wives in, like,
10 years. I'm going to look right now.
10 years or less?
Let's see. Catherine of Aragon, 23 years and 12 days. Anne Boleyn. So
23 years, 11 months, and 12 days.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So almost 24 years. And then Anne Boleyn is executed in 36. So from 1533 to 1547 is how long he's married to all of those. And respectively,
so
Anne Boleyn,
14 years.
Anne Boleyn, about 3 years. Jane, about a year and a half. Anne of Cleves, 6 months. Catherine Howard, a year and some change. And, Catherine Parr, 3 years, 5 months. So,
interesting.
That's the second longest.
That's crazy.
But yeah, just about 15 years, has 5 wives.
Being married and divorced 5 times. I mean,
in 15 years.
Married and widowed 5 times.
Insane. Anyway, that's really it. We probably didn't need to spend time on Edward, but I think it's just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about Edward later. When we talk about, I would like to talk about Elizabeth and Mary at some point.
Yeah.
That would probably be a bunch of different episodes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, this would have been a very short episode if I didn't add a little bit of, because there's not a lot about Anne. Jane.
Fuck.
There's not a lot about Jane. She deserves to be recognized. But yeah, pretty short marriage. It's quite sad, for her. And I do want, it does make me think if he actually loved her the best, or if he just liked her.
Or if he just liked her because she gave him a son.
Yeah, and then I feel bad for everyone else who was married to him, because he becomes, once she
He's
dies,
gross.
he gets nasty.
Yeah.
Rumors of, sores everywhere, wounds that won't heal.
Weeping sores all over his legs.
Ooh.
Anyway.
So that's it.
That's all I have.
Kelly will try to figure out.
I'm going to try and figure out how to edit these. So it'll probably go out tomorrow. But I'm going to try and put pictures in. You can put... What?
Once it's done, I'll put it on.
Spotify. on Spotify. But I'm going to work on it tonight, see if I can edit anything, see if I can figure it out. If not, it'll just go up unedited tomorrow.
We're trying to figure out how to do those, because my Google Chrome doesn't work. I think I have to do a factory reset on the other computer, because it won't even let me log into my own Google. And so I have to, like, none of the things are on there, so.
So, we're figuring that out. I did, like, a practice one the other day, but then I deleted, it was the Hitler one. And I deleted the pictures off of my phone because I didn't want Hitler on my phone anymore. But apparently I didn't save them because then when I went to go look at the video again, they were gone. So
Also, I find it odd that's when you picked to do first.
that was one that was that we filmed on my camera or on my phone. So it was in my computer or in my phone already.
Well, all of the other ones should be on the Google Drive. And you should have access to it.
Well, I got to figure out how to do that. So,
all right. Anyway, that's it. That is Jane Seymour. We are halfway done
with the 6 wives.
6 wives. Yep.
3 more weeks of wives.
Which is fitting that she's halfway.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she's
the only one with a different name.
And she's the only one that doesn't,
dies of natural causes.
Well, Catherine Parr does too.
But not
But he's already dead. All right, anyway, that's it.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.